Hello and welcome to Nathan but the Truth. Um, come here to talk to you guys about my campaign. I'm looking for a couple of dozen brothers that I could fly here to the Philippines. And one of the things that disturbed me the most is that talked to a friend of mine there in New York, and lady friend, and she asked me, she said, well, how many guys have you got? Because I asked her to also help me with crowdfunding and stuff like that. And I only had a half dozen. And I want a couple of dozen. And it really bothered me because I'm like, um, my videos have been seen by several thousand people. Okay, especially that one. It's really been going around. Um, because of, you know, my promoter. I have a podcast promoter, and he's been promoting my videos. And it just don't seem to um, carry a seriousness, and that bothered me. But there's two factors going. Okay, one is the task for a free man. The hardest task for a free man that I know of is to convince a slave that he's a slave. That that is just a night and day job. That's hard. Okay. Um, and I acknowledge that. So I just know that I have to work a little harder. I got to get more in grind, what they call grind mode. Um, but then the other thing is what I'm about to show you. Okay. I have three photos I'm going to show you. Each one, I want you to take about 10 to 15 seconds to look at each photo. Okay. And then we'll come back and talk about this. Those photos are photos of when the brother in Baltimore, Freddie Gray, was executed by the police in the back of the police van. They beat him to death. Okay. Uh, like animals, vicious animals. Okay. And the people within, uh, I think the next day, there was over 1.5 to 2 million people out in Baltimore, on the streets of Baltimore. The police came out. Of course, they bring the riot police. But now these black folks wasn't there with guns or anything like that. They weren't there on a violent nature. But like always, they're going to do their peaceful demonstrations and begging massa not to beat them so bad. And in all that, there's that police line. And then you had a couple of dozen black men united, come together real quick. I mean, within an instant, stood right in front of those police, protecting those police, like making a statement. I want you to look at those pictures, because I'm going to show them to you again. Because then you see them wailing and beating on their own people. Those men, not the police, taking issue with these black folks taking issue with a young black man being executed. Call it envy, call it whatever you want, but how can that white man who does nothing but kill and murder get that many brothers to come together to defend him in such a quick amount of time? And it's taken me, what, a couple of months? I don't know when I did the video first, maybe a couple of months, just to get a half a dozen brothers. And my goal is a couple of dozen. I mean, I want you to think about that. I'm going to let those pictures marinate. I'm going to let them play for a little while because I want you to really see. Now, they're supposed to be nonviolent, okay? Which is why I tell y'all quit using that term nonviolent because it only means one thing, that you won't fight evil, okay? Um, I never will forget in a barbershop in North Carolina, sitting there and I'm talking to these brothers and I'm telling them about how so many of us were raised and groomed to into self-hate by our moms. Okay, single moms. We raised single moms that happen. Okay, and no, I don't want to villainize single moms. My mom was single mom, but my mom also taught nonviolence. Okay, even though I was a fighting ass, so was my brother. Okay, but she bought into that nonviolent social change. Okay, and um, but a lot of these young men, because in this barbershop, fella, he spoke up. He said, "Oh hell no, not everybody's mama." He said, "My mama taught me to fight." And then all of them start chiming in. Yeah, my mama said, "Anybody diss me, to put them hands on." And they all start chiming in and talking. And I said, "Okay." So I challenged one. I said, "Well, tell you what, you call your mama and you tell her that you'd have met this militant. And he's talking about taking arms and going and seeking justice, you know, any means necessary." They'll say, I'm following this brother. I'm on his bandwagon." I said, "Now you call your mom and you tell her that." I said, "And see what she say, since she taught you to do all this fighting and stuff." And he did it. And we're all sitting in there. Now the place that went stone quiet. He put his phone on speaker and talks to his mom. They have the pleasantries, exchange of pleasantries and the greeting and everything. And he told her exactly what I told him to say. And she said, "Boy, you lost your damn mind." He said, "The white man ain't did nothing to you." He said, "But mama, you taught me that to fight back. Okay. You taught me to use these hands." She said, "That's if you was fighting a nigga." And she said it just like that. Y'all, I wasn't looking at him at the time because we were kind of like gazing off, giving him his conversation with his mother, but we was listening because it was for us to hear. And you heard this crash. We don't look. And he slammed that phone to the ground and it went in a million pieces. And he started shaking and tears just well up in his eyes and he is just shaking and crying. And I knew what happened. He went into what's called black rage. Okay. And I try to talk to these young brothers because when you're trying to wake up and you dealing with us learning brothers and you're talking to us and we're sharing things with you, you will come to a point where that you're going to go into black rage and we have to try and buffer you from that because you can hurt somebody. Okay. That brother in New York City went on that subway shooting. That was black rage. Okay. That brother down there in Dallas opening up on the police. That was black rage. Okay. Black rage is uncontrollable. Okay. And I tried to get him to calm down, and I got him to calm down to a point where that he could tell me it was more than that conversation, brother. What's going on with you? And he told me, he said, he said, when I was young, I was a teenager, he said, one of my friends had hit me. I went home. He said it was my best friend, man. We was just, everything to each other. And he said he had hit me. He said I ran home crying, and my mama marched me down to his house and made me fight him, and I beat him bad. Because my mama was standing there coaching me, yelling, forcing me to fight him. See, I didn't want to fight him. I want to take my lick that I got, wait till the next day, and everything be cool. He said, but his mom forced him to fight the best friend that he ever had in his life. And that hurt him. And so he had been living with that loss all his life up until that point. And then to realize that his mom groomed him to only fight like an animal, somebody that looks like him. See, that's self-hate. So he was destroyed at that point. And one fella asked him, grew up with him, was in that barbershop, said, man, I know who you're talking about. He said, man, I got his number. You want to holler at old boy? He said, man, he ain't like that. He ain't holding grudges. I ain't never known him to hold. And so he got him on the phone and up to talk. And it was just so sorrowful and sad. But I felt good because he was able to apologize to his friend, and they made peace. And you could hear his friend. He had that on speaker. He told him, he said, man, he said, no harm. He said, man, that happened. It happened. He said, I know how your mom was. He said, but I still love you. You're my brother. Remember, we're brothers to the end. And that is where so many of you are at. You will sit up and probably say how you would talk to put hands on somebody, but when a brother like me is talking about putting a stop to global white supremacy, putting a stop to police immunity, and putting a stop to white aggression, then that's a problem. Because psychologically, in your head, I can walk up to you and insult you and you put your hands on me. But you can sit and know that your child has just been violated by those people. And something in your head tells you to back down, stand down. What is that? Ask yourself what that is. Because I want you to see this little video clip. Check it out.
One mother listened. She was captured on video disciplining her son. Now, how many parents can relate to that? It may not be in the middle of a riot, but if you got an older son or daughter, you may be able to relate to this. She was actually, though, she pulled her son off the street, got her away from there, and doing what any good, strong mother would do, and God bless her for doing that. Hours later, she was praised by Baltimore Police Commissioner Anthony Batts.
And she should be.
On one scene, you had one mother who grabbed their child who had a hood on his head, and she started smacking him on the head because she was so embarrassed. I wish I had more parents that took charge of the kids out there tonight.
And by the way, it may be jarring, Al, for some people to hear me say that any parent can relate to that, because they're like, oh, come on, my son or daughter would never do that. You know what? Have a 20-year-old son, a 21,
well, she might have thought that about her son.
But I'm just saying that you look at that and go, good.
But I think that, and one of the things I'm going to encourage them is that a lot of the faith leaders and community leaders, and my radio show is on there 6 days a week, so I know that town. I have a chapter.
Yeah.
They ought to be convening the parents.
That's right.
You know, everyone's saying, let's talk to the kids, which the kids, many of them, 12, 13, are not going to listen to anybody. The parents, what should the parents be doing? How do the parents restore it? There's no one talking to the people. That mother showed that kid is not that rough. She
Right.
slapped him upside the head. He didn't swing back.
No, he didn't. He
Here's
went
a
home.
kid that'll take a brick and throw at a cop, but ducks when his mother comes and slap him. You've got to deal with that psychology, and that's what is needed here. But again, you've got to work with people that know how to deal with these.
You are not
feel
going to
for
build
her.
a community, Doreen, from the top down. You're not going to elect a mayor that's going to be able to magically fix everything, or a governor that's going to be able to magically fix everything, or a president's going to be able to come in. It starts with parents. It starts with community leaders. It starts in the churches, and they have to be empowered.
This was so dangerous. And I seen it, I got sick to my stomach. Now remember, we're teaching nonviolence, right? But Sister Girl, his son, who was doing the most heroic thing a man can do, stand up in the face of evil and start beating him savagely. And all of white America praised her. She was all over the internet. Black women praising her. Yeah, don't fight for yourself. Don't fight back, black man. It's illegal for a black man to fight back in America. Not allowed self-defense. Every case of self-defense, clear cases of self-defense, brother end up in prison. That's why I tell you guys, the math ain't mathing because you're not American citizens, okay? You have no right at all. And you know it. And you will admit it. But you want to go on with it because you have slave mentality. Your mental blockage says, oh no, I have to keep things the way it is. I can't ruffle feathers. And to know that woman is going to lie and say she all about nonviolent and she savagely beat her adult son because he stood up for evil, called out evil. See, this is what I deal with, but only something you can't whoop my ass like that. Okay? But see, I stand up in the face of evil. I call some bitch. I don't give a shit. Okay? This boy man can't take good ass, boy. I take one if you got it to give. But damn, I'm going for my enemy. And you got to bring everything you can to stop him. So, take a look at the video again. I'm going to play it one more time for you. And then after you watch the video, I want you to see them groups again, lining up, organizing themselves to protect the from non-violent black people. But then they want to put hands on them black people. This is what I'm up against. It's a slave. That he's a slave. That's not where I wanted to be in my life. I wanted to be on the beach. Right now, I'm sitting here looking at the waves off my patio here. I'm supposed to be A-OK. Getting a little pension, Got a little honey, Got a little bit of money. And I eat every day. I'm supposed to be content. Because if my brother on the other side of the world can't breathe, neither can I. And I was free. And I want him to breathe. So that's the way it works. You need to ask yourself, how come it don't bother you the way it bothers me? Man or man am I, right? Yeah. That's something. I'm also that huckleberry. Think I ain't? Hey, I love you. And I am Nathan Robinson. I'm bad quiet.